You know what happens when you take a picture? You take the actual person and you transfer it onto paper or transfer it onto a chip, and later on it's printed onto paper. The actual person's not put on there. It's just the image. And you see, we so desperately need an image in our life. Notice what it says. What these images made like unto what? Unto man. See, the highest I can go, the highest I can go in my understanding is you. And the highest you can go is me. You can't get beyond me. I can't understand angels. I can't understand God. I can't understand the devil. I can't understand that. But I can understand you. I can't understand why you do what you do sometimes. But I have a reason for that. Because you're you. Because you're human. You see where I'm going? You see, God says, you can't put me down in an image. You can't image me. Why? Because you're not smart enough to image me. You're not capable of imaging me. And so man said, oh, okay, then what I'll do, I'll just make an image of you in my image. And then, not only that, it went a little bit further. And to birds. They made birds. There are people in this world who worship a sculpture of a bird. And then notice it said four-footed beast and creeping things. That's like snakes and ants and all that other stuff. Can you imagine somebody actually thinking that God looks like a bull or a cow? Hello. A large portion of the world does. You know why? Because they've got the wrong concept of what God really is. But they're searching, they're searching, they're searching. They're trying to find out. And the Bible tells us that they'll never know what that is. Now, we have to have pictures in order to make us, we think, be able to worship God, really worship God. We could really worship God if we had pictures. Pictures make something that is absent. Listen to this. Pictures make something that is not present real to your mind, even though it's not there. I'm going to show you. I'm going to say a name, and I guarantee you the person who this name is relative to will think of this person, and a picture will form in their mind. Marlene Love. Did you form a picture of her? Isn't that something? We have a picture. Now, when I say God, do you have a picture? No. Because you haven't seen the real thing. See, you haven't seen the real thing. He's seen the real thing. He's seen Marlene Love. Did you know every major industry in this country today depends on pictures? That's why they have Snap, Crackle, and Pop. That's why that so much money is spent on advertisement. When you go to the grocery store, they're hoping that when you're thinking cornflakes, the first thing that pops in your mind is Kellogg's. When you're thinking detergents, the first kind of detergent you think about is Tide. You improve Tide. You see how important that is? It's so important that when you think and have a concept that you get a picture to go along with it. And they spend billions of dollars year in and year out to get that picture in your and my mind. And they'll do all kinds. Have you ever watched the commercial and said, well, that is the stupidest thing? Why? That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But you go down to the grocery store, and you'll watch that the stupidest commercial that ever was will pop in your mind. And you'll walk over and buy their product. See, that's us. That's you and me. That's humans. That is us, mankind. We've got to have a picture. Now, I wrote down one here. Hey, all of you notice, are aware of this. Oh, I wish it was an Oscar Mayer wiener. When you buy wieners, do you look for Oscar Mayer? Oh, you know, sometimes, yeah, but it's there. It's there, right? Isn't it remarkable how little cliche phrases catch on in our mind? There's a one-word phrase, God. Oh, man, that blows through my mind like a north wind through Alaska. I can't hold on to that concept. I can't hold on to that thought. I can't visualize it because it's too big for me to visualize. It's too great and awesome for me to filter it down so my little old mind can comprehend that. And God said, when you try to do that, then you're on dangerous ground. What you're doing is you're creating your own God. And that leads me to my next thought. Why is this imaging then forbidden by God? Number one, it brings him down to human understanding. And about time you think you got God figured out, he'll kick you over another file cabinet full and say, figure that out. We're not going to figure God out. I can't figure out what God does. I can't understand what God does. I'm just glad he does. Amen. And you have to take the bad with the good. I've got a word here that I wrote down. How many of you ever heard of DNA? You ever heard of that? Yeah, most of you are aware of DNA. You ought to be aware of it. All of you got one. Now, I don't know. I'm going to try to say this word. That DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, I don't know nothing about science, but I just read this, and that's what I'm going to try to break this down for you. And I want you. This tells me who I'm trying to understand. And I hope we get this through our minds that we're not going to understand that because there's some consequences and some conditions. Scientists tell us that our body is made up of cells. And every cell is made up of molecules. Millions of molecules. And they form long strands. And these strands have little connections. And they connect to one another. And the positives get on one side, and the negatives get on one side, and then there's a little connection that goes between them. And it forms something like a ladder. If you would see it, if I had a picture, it would look just like a ladder. And sometimes it'll twist that way, and sometimes it'll twist this way. But scientists tell us this, that every one of these cells, if you could take these little connectors that connects these ladder rungs to the rails, if you could take them and transfer those into letters, make them letters,